And I'm going to cut off all this loose hair. It's nice to have a trash can handy because this gets a big mess. Cutting it off about 3/16 past the knot, and then I'm going to trim it back a lot more to where I'm just barely got my knot, the hair sticking out past my knot. Again, you do not at this point want to cut that thread. You cut that thread now, you're done. You got to start over. And you're going to waste that hair because you'll never have enough hair to do this again. Okay, now we've got to go to the glue again, the white glue. And I think I'm going to have to zoom the camera back because I can't keep it in frame right now. It's just a little too close. So I'm going to put the white glue on the end of the hair and on the thread. Coat the whole end there. Again, I don't want to get the glue down on the hair itself, just on the end of the hair and on the thread, but nothing past the thread. And put a little bit extra right on the very tip end. Take my flame again and just hold it right on the end of the hair to boil that glue and swell those ends of the hair. They swell up, make a pretty good tight knot so that my string or my thread can't slip off. Again, that knot, if you're not familiar with the knot, is the same one you use for tying the serving on a bowstring. You can probably find that on the internet somewhere if you needed to have better information on that knot. I've been tying that knot since I was a kid because I used to tie my own bowstrings when I was a kid. Used to shoot competitive archery, so that's how I learned that knot, and it's really helpful for this. Okay, now what was I going to remember to do? I was going to remember to put this ferrule on here. I'm just glad. I almost started to poke it down in this thing, and it reminded me to put this ferrule on. And again, I'm looking at that ferrule and finding these little war tips, war edges, and those edges need to go towards the tip. So I'm sliding them on first, that end on first. I'm just going to slide it on down the hair quite a ways and get it out of my way. I don't care about it right now. I just want to make sure it's on the hair, otherwise you cannot get it on there later. Now I'm going to take this frog apart, take it off of here. I have a little hole drilled in this thing right here, and this little nut fits in that hole and kind of helps hold it for me. And I'm still keeping this oriented so that the flat is flat. But I'm going to take this now and bend it where underneath, just like I did before, pointing it at the, keeping my thumb on the flat top of the hair. And then I have to remember, again, I don't want to twist this. I got to keep it all in the same orientation. And I want to put this down in that hole. And it's still not very flat. I wish it was a little flatter. Bend it some more. And I'll flatten it with these pliers a little bit. And okay, I'm going to try to put it down in that hole all the way. The little piece of wood that came out of there, I'm going to try to put it back in there. I'd say the odds of this happening are slim, but you just never know. It might work. Okay. Again, I'm trying to keep the hair oriented the same direction. That's very important. Without twisting the hair. I got it. What I did was I've got the nut, the hair held down inside the frog really good. And now I've kept this flat the whole time and kept it the same orientation. And now I'm going to put this down in the slot of the bow and putting the screw back in it. And then I'm trying to keep the hair down in there and tightening it up just a little bit, not real tight, but enough to pull it down in there really good, so that I can take the slide that I re-glued earlier, and hopefully it's going to work. and slide it back down in here. I've got so much hair in here, this might be a problem because I've got more hair in it than they had. It might be a problem. I might have to do some operations here. I might have to cut a little deeper slot for some of the hair to fit into. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this back in this little hole, and I'm going to dig this trench out a little bit deeper to have a little more room for hair. Well, hopefully that'll work. I don't know. That might have bought me a little bit of space for the hair to go down in. Didn't need a lot of space, just some. And I don't know. It's not easy, I can tell you. I'm going to have to get some more space, it looks like. Okay, we're going to have to make this work somehow. I cut a lot more out of there, but I don't know if it's enough yet, to be honest. The other part of the problem is this slide is not a very good slide. It's just not made the way it ought to be entirely. If I can get the hair to mash down in there a little bit more somehow. Seems to be going, but it's not going easily as you would want it to go. Shoot. The pearl came off, and I'll just have to glue it back together and put it back on there when I'm done. There it went all the way. Okay, good. Alright, it's on there, so that part's good. Just scrape the old glue back off of here again, or the new glue, I guess I should say. Now, put a little bit, and this is going to be tricky because I don't want to glue this slide inside this thing, so I'm just going to put just the least amount of glue on here. Okay, that's on there pretty good. And we'll put the ferrule back on here. And then we have to put this spreader back in there. So loosen up the hair now, loosen it up as much as I can loosen it up. Take it out of the bow vise. And then basically with your fingers you spread this out as much as you can, and you spread, the spreader goes behind the hair underneath the ferrule like this. Usually it goes in there. It's not even wanting to go in there. I guess I've got so much hair in there. Plus, I don't think they cut a very deep slot in this ferrule. I probably should have just took time and cut a deeper slot in it, because they didn't have a very deep slot in this ferrule at all. Usually it goes right in that crack, no problem, but it's giving me trouble on this one. Maybe there's too much glue from the previous, when I told you this was glued in there and it shouldn't have been. Just scrape that old glue off. There's just a lot of glue on this. It shouldn't even have any glue on it. Okay, again, holding this here. I'm going to turn it this way for my benefit. I'm going to slide this little wedge behind the hair and slide it in that slot if it'll go. And like I said last time, usually this is very easy to do, but this is not going in here at all. That's weird. I've never had that happen before. But on camera, anything can happen. Usually that goes in there without any problem. But I guess I've just got so much hair, and that slot is just so tiny. That's why I had so much trouble getting the slide back in there. Wow. Well, another option is to take the bow apart, and it'll be a little easier to work on it this way. And I'll slide it in there this way. That'll loosen up the hair even more. I should be able to get it in there now, I would think. It's going, but it's not going easy. And I'll use the blunt end of the chisel here, the handle end, and push it down in there. It went and then it broke off, and then that's okay because it has to be broke off flush anyway, but that seems like that worked. Okay, and as you can see, the hair is pretty flat and pretty straight. It's actually pretty darn good. It's almost dry by now, which is good. And what I do is I wave it in the air like this, and that helps dry the hair back out. And when it's completely dry, then there'll be some loose hairs. There's just no doubt about it. And you just have to clip them off. And it takes a lot of rosin. And you can tighten this up now and get it good and, get it good and tight to play with. But you don't want to let it dry tight like that. So I'm going to loosen it back up, keep it loose until it's good and dry, because I don't want to stretch the hairs. And then once it's good and dry, and you tighten it back up and you cut the loose hairs off, then you rosin the heck out of it. You really have to rosin it a lot to make it work. But that's not a bad job. It's not one of my best jobs I ever did. That was a pretty bad frog, actually. That frog was kind of hard to work with. But anyway, it should work okay. And that's about it. Good luck with your project.